Hello there everybody and welcome to live coverage of rounds 7, 8 and 9 of the BTCC Carrera Cup here held by British Sim Racers on YouTube. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Scott Woodward and I'll be providing lead comms, and joining me alongside in the commentary box is my good friend and co-commentator Mr. Marcus Narris. So Marcus, good evening.
Good evening Scott, good evening everyone, hope you're having a great evening.
Absolutely, and obviously let's crack on straight away with where we are for tonight's event. We are at the home of the legendary Daytona 500 and of course of the Daytona 24 Hours. Of course, if you haven't guessed, we're at Daytona International Speedway in Daytona, Florida in the US. But we're not running the oval, of course we are running the road course section. So effectively, Marcus, in some ways, of course, it's what we call a roval. So half the course is the oval, half the course is the road course section. So in many ways, this is our equivalent of Rocky in some ways, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a good circuit. It's more rough than oval. There are many rovals in the iRacing service, but this one, has a real challenging infield section, and you run pretty much all of the oval. You only really miss out a very short piece of the oval. The infield, a number of tight hairpins, and in these cars it's going to be tough to get the power down early enough, and that's really going to be the key, I think, tonight, is how quickly people can get out the corners, especially the final corner onto the banking, and of course through the bus stop.
Of course, as you said, lots of tight and winding sections, of course, but so it's going to be a tale of two stories. And also, the starts itself tonight, Marcus, are going to be, I believe, standing starts rather than rolling starts. And they are rolling starts, not standing ones. And so we're going away from normal tradition, obviously, because we normally have on regular circuits in the championship, we do run from a standing start. So not all of these guys will have experience of running from a rolling start. So what in your mind are the key things to look for when it comes, or things to think about, I should say, for these drivers when it comes to getting the best possible getaway when the lights go green whilst they're rolling rather than standing?
You just need to be aware of what's going on around you, really. There's a tendency for people during the warm-up section, following behind the pace car, just to doze off a little bit, for want of a better phrase, and stare at the back of the car, immediately in front of them. What they need to be doing is looking at 3 or 4 cars ahead and timing getting on the gas as critically as they can do, but obviously not going too early. We see many incidents where people are very, very late on the gas, and ironically it's the guys that don't go that usually cause the problems. The guys that go a little bit early, they can just back straight out the throttle and don't cause problems. But it's just awareness, Scott, just making sure you know what's going on and knowing when you need to get away and not be left sat on the grid with people driving into the back of you.
Well, awareness of a spatial kind was certainly something that lacked a lot of drivers back at our previous 3 rounds at Lime Rock Park. But looking at the championship standings coming into rounds 7, 8 and 9 tonight, we've got Stefan Hug, who leads the way with 353 points. He holds a slim 10-point advantage over Ian D. Smythe in second place, with Gary Toll in third on 321. Cyril Thomas stands fourth with 294, Nick McCarron being fifth with 292. Stanimir Zuzov in 6th with 275, Robert Plumley 7th with 271, Matt Malone 8th for Wheel Damage Racing in with 269, and then Steve Hefford with 259 and Darryl Taylor with 254 to round out the top 10. Team standings, Epicure Banana is first with 1,165, ESImages.net is second with 1,111, all the ones. Redline Racing third with 1,052, and Team America Matmut fourth with 827, and JCL Sim Racing fifth with 438. So far we've got quite a runaway championship in the teams at least, and of course both Ian D. Smythe and Gary Toll are flying the flag in the Drivers' Championship. But so far, Marcus, Stefan Hug with a 10-point lead. He has been pretty mighty. He's had 1 win during the season, but Ian D. Smythe has 2. But it's more been a case of, in this championship, as it is on BSR championships, the consistency is one of the key factors in any championship that we hold, rather than just outright race wins. And that's proved by the fact that Hug is in the lead despite having a 1-win deficit to Ian D. Smythe in second place.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's further borne out by the fact, we've got race winners down in 17th place in the championship with Matt Dalton, and a long way down towards the bottom of the championship, one of the faster drivers, Ashley Sutton. Both very, very quick guys, both been able to put in great results as a one-off, but they lack that consistency that's seen Hug climb to the top of the table. So we know Hug's an intelligent driver. He'll be looking for a good result here rather than going hell for leather for the win. Not so sure that Ian Smythe has the composure that Hug has, but we'll see how that plays out during the race.
And Ashley Sutton's certainly going to be one driver that we're going to be looking out for, because of course, for those who are unaware that don't follow Ashley's exploits, not only in sim racing but also in his real racing career, he made his debut in the MSA British Formula 4 Championship just this past weekend gone, at the season opener for the BTCC at Brands Hatch, and safe to say, got himself a couple of podiums. So actually proving himself behind the wheel of a real race car, as well as a virtual one for sure. So definitely showing there is a transition that can be made between sim and reality, Marcus.
Yeah, he had a pretty good weekend. I was lucky enough to be at Brands Hatch working on Saturday. Unfortunately, Ashley had a bit of an incident in qualifying. He had a fire extinguisher come loose and lodge itself under his pedals, which is the last thing you want. But he managed to salvage, what looked like it was going to be a tough day out, and managed to take a few podiums over the weekend in the scholarship class, which is the class in the Formula 4 Championship for new drivers.
Excellent stuff. We're getting close to the start here for the first race at Daytona. I'm having one or two technical problems getting into the service, so Marcus, if you don't mind, I'll let you lead until I get in. I'll let you know as soon as I'm getting in. But of course, the circuit itself, the Daytona Road Course, wonderful circuit. Of course, the infield section is pretty tricky. Of course, we've got the horseshoe at turn 3 and the infamous bus stop at turns 8, 9, 10 and 11. But I think setup's also a key factor here as well, where they have to try and find that right balance between mechanical grip for the... I think it's a small circuit where mechanical grip is going to play a lot more key rather than aero, because you need as little little drag as possible to be quick on the oval sections, but still enough mechanical grip from the tyres and also the suspension setup to give you that edge around the twisty bits in the middle of the course.
Yeah, if you can guarantee that you're going to be running in a crowd and going to be affected by the draft, you can run a hell of a lot of aero here and not have your speed compromised. That said, if you do run a lot of aero to be quick in the infield, a high aero setting to be quick in the infield setting, and you find yourself out of the draft on the oval section, then you're left standing. A high aero package here without the draft can cost as much as 1.5 seconds on the oval section of the course. So it's a real difficult balance, and as we say, these guys are going to be very keen to get the power down as quickly as they can do to get out the corners and get a sprint.
Well, I believe we're getting almost set to go racing, so of course for the moment, of course, I'll allow Marcus to lead for the moment, of course, whilst I try and load myself into the server, and I'll give him a nudge as soon as I'm ready. So Marcus, for the moment, take it away.
Yep, so as we move up towards the start, it'll be Ian D. Smythe who has the honour of deciding when to go. We've seen Ian race quite a few times, and he's very, very keen on, if he can, getting away when the green light shows. It's the leader's prerogative, for those of you that aren't necessarily familiar with rolling starts, to go any time after the pace car enters the pit lane. But Ian traditionally is a fan of waiting until the green light is shown, and will then floor it and try and get away. Just outside him, he's got Michael Stephen, and Michael's a very, very quick guy. He's been doing some incredibly fast lap times in the qualifying and practice sessions, but he does struggle with keeping the car on the surface as they stream through the bus stop now. They'll all be wanting to close up as soon as they come out. It's difficult to stay very, very close in that bus stop. You don't want to run the risk of rear-ending somebody and taking yourself out of the race before you even get going. As soon as they do floor it, it's a reasonably short run down into turn 1, which is quite a tight double apex left-hander, so certainly Smythe and Alain Tessier, who's in third place, the two guys that hold the two inside slots, are going to have a key advantage there. But certainly Ashley Sutton in fourth place, and as I said, Michael Stephen on the outside of the front row in second place are going to be seeing what they can do about it. Third row of the grid is made up by Stefan Hug and Gary Toole, and neither of those guys are particularly slow. And as we've said, neither of those guys are particularly shy when it comes to doing what needs to be done. So as the field starts to bunch up now, we get very, very close to the start. The pace car is in. Smythe can go at any time, and he goes now. He goes early, and everyone's away. He did go on green, as we expected. Ashley Sutton got a great run there. He's made up 2 places. He's up the inside of Michael Stephen, and he's way past Alain Tessier. And it looks as they go into turn 1 that Tessier is going to go up the inside of Michael Stephen. Indeed, he does. So the top 3 as we go into the infield section for this first time is Smythe in the lead, Michael Stephen second. Ashley Sutton second. Alain Tessier running in third with Michael Stephen in fourth. It looks like there's been an issue right back at the international hairpin there. I'm not sure who caused that, but there's definitely been a bit of a problem. There's 2 or 3 cars upside down. I can see for sure that one of the Epicuri Banana cars, indeed Gary Toole, who started in 6th place on the grid, has got himself caught up in that and is driving a very, very badly battered Epicuri Banana machine. I didn't really see what was going on there. Oh, and he's driven off the circuit again. Didn't really see what happened there. Obviously I was focusing on the leaders at the time. But certainly it looks like there's been some problems back there, and it's cost a few drivers dearly. We'll see how that shakes out as the timing up refreshes as they cross the start-finish line. So as we run onto the oval for the first time, Ashley Sutton gets a great draft, really takes advantage of that draft and dives down the inside of Ian D. Smythe as they go into the bus stop for the first time. Tessier hangs on to 3rd place, and you know that Smythe is going to be very, very keen to take advantage of any draft he's going to get now. As they run towards turn 1. It's a long run on the oval here, and it gets a real benefit from being behind. I'm not sure if it was the smartest move always to go for the overtake going into the bus stop, because as we can see now, you leave yourself very, very vulnerable for the draft coming out of the bus stop if you're that car in front. And indeed Ian D. Smythe has repassed Ashley Sutton, and Ashley's under a lot of it, getting a lot of attention from Michael Stephen, who's very, very keen to make up for his slightly dodgy start. And as they go into the infield section again and run up towards the international chicane, it's side by side, Smythe and Sutton on the outside, Smythe on the inside. As long as they give each other enough room here, they should be fairly easy. And Sutton runs a little bit wider than he wants to. He's very slow on the throttle there, and he's got Michael Stephen now parked right underneath his rear wing. As we said, that can be a big problem here. If you're not quick enough on the gas coming out of the corners, you're going to get swamped. But if you're too eager on the gas coming out of the corners, you're going to spin the back wheels up and just turn the car around. These 4 leading cars now, so Smythe, Sutton, Stephen and Tessier in that order, are broken away a little bit now from Matt Malone, who's running in 5th place. And as I say that, Michael Stephen drops it coming onto the back straight, onto the banked oval, and again just a great illustration of the point I was trying to make there. He's just got on the throttle just ever so slightly too quickly by the looks of it. Indeed, yeah, just as he's coming out of the corner, he's a little bit too keen, a little bit too eager to get the power down, and he's just turned it round. He's just lost it under acceleration, spun it round, and has lost 3 or 4 places there. Certainly Matt Malone in 5th place went past him. Stefan Hug took advantage as well, and has gained a place. So things getting a little bit spread out through the field. Certainly now we've only got a pack of the top 3 that are breaking away, and as part of that, Smythe and Sutton are leaving Tessier behind a little bit. Certainly as they go through the bus stop again, it looks to me like Tessier has dropped a good half a second back off these guys. I'll be interested to see what the timing says, and I'll try and keep an eye on that, and keep an eye on what's happening with Ashley Sutton, who gets the draft and takes the inside line through the steeply banked oval section here. Hopefully these guys give each other enough room on the run down into turn 1. The last thing. Well, sorry, I had a bit of lag there. My machine was lagging behind there. I was reporting on things that were happening a couple of seconds ago, so sorry about that. I've missed out a couple of corners there. So luckily for me, it's situation normal as we come on to the banking for the 3rd time of asking, lap 3 of this 9-lap race. Ashley Sutton is out front, and Ian Smythe is running in 2nd place still. Tessier still running in 3rd, and I'm not sure if he's taking a cautious approach there. He's just sitting and hoping maybe that the 2 guys ahead of him maybe cause each other a problem, or if he's saving his tyres. But he certainly seems to be in touch with these guys, and they're not dropping him. He seems to be fairly happy, Tessier, with the gap. There being a slight gap ahead to Smythe, and then further forward to Sutton. As we look further down the field, Stefan Hug now runs in 5th place. Matt Malone's running in 4th place. Michael Stephen, who we saw had that spin coming out of the final turn onto the oval section of the circuit, is trying his hardest to make up time. He's recovered into what was 6th place. Looks like Matt Malone's had a bit of a problem, and he's dropped down to 6th place. promoting Michael Stephen to 5th place and Stefan Hook to 4th as they make their way around the stricken Ashley Sutton's car. Oh, it's Ashley Sutton's car. Oh, let's go back and have a look at that. Sutton's dropped it. I could see that there was a stricken. Oh, and Sutton's had another accident. He's upside down now, rolling down the pit lane exit, and that's possibly his evening done. And as we've said, he's a very, very fast guy. He's won races in this championship, but he's certainly struggled to get finishes. And yeah, looking back at it, he's taken a very, very wide line into the second part of the first turn, that double apex left-hander, and got on the gas again just a little bit too early with too much steering angle in, and he's just spun it round into the wall. And unfortunately, as he's tried to get going again there, he's just caught the inside wall and clipped, by the looks of it, the number 58 car of Jose Almeida. But that's terrible for Sutton. He was looking very, very, very pacey, looking very capable of getting a good result in this race, but I'm sure he won't mind me saying, again, a little bit of a lack of consistency, a little bit of lack of being able to get the car to the finish has caused him problems here. So as we stand now, after all that, Ian D. Smythe continues on his merry way, leading the race from now Alain Tessier in 2nd place, and it looks like Tessier's tactic of not wanting to get involved necessarily has really paid off for him here, because he finds himself sitting pretty in 2nd place as the leaders go through the bus stop, go through turn 1, sorry. Tessier looks very much closer to Smythe than we've seen in previous laps, and these two guys are coming up to see some lap traffic in the form of, it looks like an Epicuri Banana. It's Gary Toole, who we mentioned earlier on, qualified in a solid 6th place, but now finds himself down in 33rd position, and he's about to be gobbled up by his Epicuri Banana teammate, Ian D. Smythe, and Tessier must be slightly concerned that he doesn't see any kind of interference from Gary. I'm sure Gary wouldn't want to get involved, but we've seen team tactics come into play in the championship before, and as I say, it certainly wouldn't be the first time that we'd seen that. So as we were saying, it's Smythe now from Tessier. Michael Stephen, who really has recovered extremely well from that spin that dropped him all the way down to 7th place earlier in the race. He's recovered to 3rd place with a combination of some great driving, some very, very quick laps he's been turning, and obviously some guys up ahead dropping out. Just immediately behind him is Stefan Hoog, and Stefan, it's looking ominous. He's running a very good pace, and he looks very, very comfortable, just sat behind Michael Stevens. So Stefan Hoog in 4th, Matt Malone is in 5th place, Willem Botha in the number 302 Redline machine finds himself in 6th place, ahead of Tony McCallum in 8th, and Tony McCallum in 7th, and Tian Dames in 8th. Cyril Thomas, I was right, I corrected myself, Tian Dames in 8th place. So if we look back to the front now, these guys are really in the thick of the traffic. Just coming through turn 1 now, Ian D. Smythe finds himself pretty much blocked in by not only his teammate but also Robert Teings in the red line machine, and he's really got nowhere to go. These guys are obviously having their own race, but it's a little bit impolite there, especially as one of them is a teammate. They're parked 2 abreast across the circuit, and it's really giving the poor old leaders nowhere to go. And as we say that, unfortunately, Tessier has to take a bit of a late braking manoeuvre to get down the inside of Teens as Tessier got cut off going through the dog leg by Teens taking the inside line. So now it's Ian D. Smythe, and just as we say that, Tessier just clears Gary Toole before we get back onto the start of the banking for the oval, as we come back onto the famous Daytona NASCAR oval circuit. And it'll be interesting to see if the guys behind, certainly Gary Toole and Robert Teings, are prepared to lay back and not take advantage of any draft that they may get to maybe unlap themselves, and it looks like everyone's behaving exactly as they should do, and there's no significant problems for anybody. So looking slightly further back down the field, the main battle at the moment seems to be between 3rd and 4th place Michael Stephen and Stefan Hoog. Stefan Hug is biding his time, definitely. He's getting a great draft. He got a great drive out of the bus stop just then on this 6th lap. And he's just laying off Michael Stephen ever so slightly. He's not taking advantage of the draft. He's not using it to try and make a pass. He's just sitting behind Michael Stephen. In fact, he's just typed in driver chat for Michael Stephen to get a move on with it, and and as we do that, Stephen runs a little bit wide. So I think we may see, unless Matt Malone starts to close up on these two guys significantly, we may see Hug happy to hold station until maybe the last lap of the race, where he'll make his move, taking advantage of that draft. And that's something we really need to mention. As up front, Ian D. Smythe is only 7/10 of a second ahead of Alain Tessier. You tend to find that the draft here can kick in from as far back as... Oh, and there's another incident. There's been it looks like the back markers of Gary Toole and Robert Teings that we were just talking about earlier on have got together and spun off, and very, very fortunately, it doesn't look to me like Michael Stephen or Alain Tessier, Ian Smythe, any of the leaders, in fact, got caught up in that. It looks like everybody got through cleanly, so very, very fortunate for everyone. So sorry, as I was saying, it's not necessarily an advantage to be in first place going into the last lap here. The start-finish line is on the oval section, and the draft can really come into play, and if you can time it correctly, the leader can be an absolute sitting duck as we come up to the start-finish line. So it's something these guys are going to start paying attention to, as again up front, Tessier gets very, very, very close to Smythe as we go through the oval section, but none of the following cars wanting to take advantage of the draft that they're getting to really try and put a move on. Neither Tessier or Hug in 2nd or 4th place at the moment, the key beneficiaries of the draft, are wanting to take advantage. That said, Stefan Hug is probably going to want to get on with it now, because Michael Stephen's slower pace, and he has slowed up significantly in the last 2 or 3 laps, has really closed things up, and now we've got Matt Malone very, very close to Stefan Hug, and Stefan will know that there's a huge risk that Matt Malone, if he stays close enough, will get a double draft and can just blow past not only him and Michael Stephen to take that podium place that these guys are currently fighting over. So I think regardless of any plans that Stefan Hug may have in mind, we may see an overtaking manoeuvre from him on the oval in the draft on this lap. He's not going to want to invite Matt Malone to get any closer and cause any problem. Meanwhile, up front, it's getting very, 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 very close again. Ian D. Smythe and Alain Tessier, and Tessier running a very, very patient race, putting Smythe under consistent pressure lap after lap. As they go into the bus stop, he's looking very menacing. You know, certainly to me, he's looking in a very, very strong position, and he knows that if he can get within half a second as the guys come out of the bus stop 1 lap from now on the final lap of the race, as we currently are running lap 8, the penultimate lap, he'll be very, very well placed to try and draft by Ian D. Smythe and take advantage of that draft to maybe just steal the win. So there's 2 real key battles we need to keep an eye on here up front, and apologies for the guys slightly further down the grid, but with only 1 pair of eyes at the moment, it's difficult for me to see everything. So there's going to be 2 key battles, I think, as we go into the last lap, and that's going to be, will Tessier make a move on Smythe? Can he time it properly and take the win? Can Hug time his move and take advantage of the draft on Michael Stephen to take that 3rd and final podium place? So as they run up towards the west hairpin, it's Ian D. Smythe still from Alain Tessier, and Tessier may not be as close as he wants to be. If I was him, I'd want to be tucked up right behind that Epicuri banana machine, the number 06 of Ian D. Smythe, just to be in a position to be able to control the draft, modulate the throttle to make sure that there are no serious problems, as we see a pack marker there being excessively polite and deciding to drive back home by the looks of it. And Tessier, for me, he's a bit too far back. I don't know if he's underplayed this, or Ian Smythe has obviously had a fantastic infield section to this last lap, and now the draft comes into effect, and Tessier is very, very close as they break together for the bus stop. Tessier is right on Smythe's tail. Now, can he take advantage of the draft, and can Smythe drive defensively but safely and fairly enough to keep Tessier behind him? Tessier is really feeling the advantage of the draft now, and you can physically see that he's gaining metre by metre by metre as these guys run around the oval. And indeed, he's just tucked it up the inside. He's got the inside line there as they go back through the bank section, running across the start-finish line. And it is Alan Tessier that takes the checkered flag. Fantastically executed, wonderfully planned manoeuvre from Tessier. Outthought Smythe to a certain extent there, got his car in the right position and made the move coming out the bus stop, took advantage of the draft and stole the win by 0.063 of a second. So it's just 600th of a second in it at the end, and Tessier did exactly the right thing. Just behind them, again, it was very, very close between Michael Stephen and Stefan Hug, but Michael Stephen just managed to hang on from Stefan Hug, and again there was just 1400th of a second in that. It was a fantastic last lap start-finish line manoeuvres from Tessier and an attempted manoeuvre from Hug that didn't quite come off, that have defined the top 5 of this race. So just to sum up, as we look through the grid, look at the finishing positions, Alan Tessier with as we were just saying, a wonderfully crafted win, takes the win from Ian D. Smythe, who finishes in second place, as I said, just 6300ths of a second behind him. Michael Stephen takes third place, resisting the last lap challenge from Stefan Hug. Matt Malone is in fifth place. Willem Botha brings the number 302 Redline machine home in sixth place. Tony McCallum will be delighted with seventh, with Tian Dames in 8th, Jose Almeida in 9th, and Paul Thurston, another Epicuri Banana driver, so a very, very strong showing for that team, rounding out the top 10. Fantastic results as well down the field. Matthew Dalton and Ellis Stevens will be very pleased with 11th and 12th place. Jorge Ordonez Viejas will be very, very happy with 13th place. Clark Preck is 14th. Nick McCarron brings the number 7 machine home in 15th, and Edward Freeman comes home in 16th place, having had issues with fuel, I understand. Robert Plumley 17, Burton in 18, James Hickson, a very, very strong result for James Hickson in 19th. He'll be delighted with that, and that's a great run for James. He's one of the safest drivers on the circuit, but not necessarily one of the quickest, and he'll be delighted to finish in the top 20. A top 20 that is rounded out by Willem Pinar in the number 304 machine in 20th place. So I don't know if you managed to see any of that, Scott, but certainly very exciting towards the end there.
Well, unfortunately, I joined in just as the race was ending, and literally, so I got into the server just after the race finished for the leaders. So unfortunately, I didn't catch the last lap pass from Alan Tessier. But congratulations to Alan for taking out race 1. I'm pretty sure you did a great job, nonetheless, on commentary to fill in for this, Marcus. Apologies for that one on behalf of BSR. On that one, I had some few technical problems where it wouldn't load me into iRacing, so I've had to restart my laptop when I managed to just get in, but only when the race was ending, so it's not a problem. But we will be around, of course, for races 8 and 9, still at Daytona International Speedway. But Alan Tessier takes the victory in race 1, but only just by the smallest of margins at the line. Of course, we're going to be around for race number 8, which starts up in roughly around 10 minutes' time, so be sure to head back onto the main BSR TV page, click round 8, and myself and Marcus will see you there in a few minutes' time.